Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd do a 12 by 12 Donald Duck scrapbook layout. The paper that I'm using for today, some of it is from scrapbook.com. It's called Doodlebug. And one page I'm also using from this stack pack. It's called Park Lane Stack 10, and this is from Joann's. To start off, my paper does measure 11.5 by 11.5, and today I did ink my edges with my Stampin' Up! Early Espresso and Basic Black. To start off, this paper is the one that I mentioned is from Doodlebug. Next, I do have a decorative tag. For my tag, it does measure 11 by 11 inches, and this is just a Googled image that I brought down to my silhouette and trace. I believe I did Google decorative tag. Next, I do have my border. It does measure 11.5 by 4 7/8, and this I'll go ahead and place down here. And this is also a Googled image that I brought down to my silhouette and traced. For my next border piece, I believe this is from Little Scraps of Heaven. I believe it comes with a couple of other border pieces. For this one, it does measure 11.5 by 2 3/8, and I'm not sure if you could tell, but this is actually embossed paper that I got from the open sock section at Joann's. Now I'll go ahead and use my glue it down with my zip dry. Oh, I forgot I had cut it. My silhouette actually had trouble cutting this cardstock because since it is embossed paper, it's a little bit thicker, and I didn't change my settings on my my blade, so it really cut off. But I don't think it's a big deal. Next, I'll go ahead and back this on a piece of 12 by 12 craft cardstock paper. Next, I do have my frame. This is actually from Little Scraps of Heaven. It's the one that comes with the Monsters Inc. lookalike. I've had this frame for a while and actually never used it until now. It actually doesn't come like this. I actually had to manipulate it a little bit. So I stretched it out and resized it a bit. Totally doable. Quite easy actually. I stretched it out from this way and brought it down a little bit just to get it to the size of 9 inches by 6.5. On my silhouette, I did internal offset. For the inside, it does measure 6 by 4, and on my silhouette, I did do internal offset. I do have a sun from Little Scraps of Heaven. It does measure 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. I do have 2 clouds. These clouds are from Miss K Cuttables. They were actually part of a different file that I actually liked the clouds and brought them over to this layout. The clouds do measure out 1.5 by 2 3/8, and I did pop them up on 1 thickness of foam tape. Next, I do have my title. My title does measure 1 1/8 by 5 7/8. I did pop it up on 1 thickness of foam tape. And now for my title, I actually just created this on my silhouette. I had seen this title on the Mickey and Friends Cricut cartridge, and I really liked it. So all I did was just create it myself. I do have the mini font, and that is from dafont.com. It's a free file. Dafont.com is DAFONT.com, and I typed in Donald, rearranged the letters a little bit, highlighted everything, and then just welded it together. And on the back, I just added a blue strip of paper, and that's pretty much it. It's really easy. Next, I do have a crying baby Donald. This is actually a Googled image that I brought down to my silhouette and trace. If anybody's curious on how I do that, I do have a tutorial. For my Donald, he does measure 7 1/4 by 5 5/8. I did pop him up on 1 thickness of foam tape. And from Treasure Box Designs, I do have balloons. They do measure 4.5 by 3 7/8. I did pop them up on 1 thickness of foam tape. And this layout is actually for my son. My son, as I like to say, is a little bit misunderstood. He cries a lot, and last year, I think it was around Halloween or so, we took him dressed to Disneyland, dressed like Donald Duck. And one thing about my son, he's very shy. He does not like a lot of attention. And unfortunately for him, he gets a lot of attention from the ladies. It's always a lot of women or older women who are just, they can't help themselves with my son. And they always just want to talk to him. And it's just so much attention that my son does not like it. And unfortunately for him, since I took him dressed like Donald Duck, that day he got a lot of attention. Everywhere he would go, people would point at him, point and laugh at him, and it was just, we were there for about 4 hours, and he cried the entire time he was there. He even had yellow stockings that I bought from the little girl section. It was just, it was a bad day for him. I didn't know what else to do with him. With my daughter, we actually never had that issue. Still no, she doesn't. She likes people. She likes to start talking to random people. Not my son. My son likes to hide behind me when people approach him. And since we took him to what's it called? Toontown because we wanted him to take a picture with Donald Duck. As soon as Donald Duck saw my son, Donald actually ran to him because of how he was dressed. And you know, usually there's like a group of people who follow Disney characters. It was just so much attention that my son freaked out, threw himself to the ground, and just cried like there was no tomorrow. And it was the funniest thing ever because Donald was just like, like, what just happened? And I do have a picture of that. If anybody's interested, I'll go ahead and I'll show you a picture in a bit. But we caught that funny moment, and I thought I had to scrapbook it because I have to show him when he's a little bit older. Just the hard life he had. His toddler problems. And here's a picture of my son on the floor crying, and Donald deciding to just take a picture with him. If I turn it this way, you could kind of see my son better, I think. But yeah. That's my little baby. And there you have it. This is my 12 by 12 Donald Duck scrapbook layout. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.